Hi, I'm Jack. Life was pretty good for me. I was married to a stunning lady named Miranda, but you know how these stories go. Hold on to your hats. My wife Miranda was a few years younger than me, 47, but looking like a solid 35. She had this personality that could melt glaciers. Seriously, I've never met anyone as charming as her. She always knew how to say the right thing. She was a real silver tongue charmer. Conversation flowed like a river when she was around. Her personality was worth its weight in gold. Now let's talk about her job. She had a degree and was a certified public accountant, CPA. She was heading the accounting department at a massive downtown hospital. We're talking billions of dollars flowing through her office every year. The responsibility on her shoulders was staggering. That meant late nights at work were par for the course. I get it. You know it came with the territory, and I never once complained about it. I was a really supportive partner. Funny thing is, we met back in college. She was just starting out and I was there, taking a couple of courses to get my real estate license. I didn't pry into her life before we crossed paths. It wasn't important. We dated exclusively for nearly a year and then, bam, a ring and a marriage proposal changed everything. So Miranda and I tied the knot in a beautiful wedding and had an after our epic honeymoon. Miranda had big plans for her degree. It took a bit longer to graduate thanks to the arrival of our two incredible kids. Meanwhile, I was raking in the dough, and we even hired a nanny to help Miranda finish her degree. She did just that and got snapped up by a major accounting firm in Dallas right away. Our trusty nanny stuck around until the kids hit school age. She worked hard and kept climbing the career ladder. Then another accounting firm came along and hired her, and she was promoted every other year until she became the boss of the accounting department, which was a good 5 years ago, and she's loved it ever since. I'm a licensed real estate broker specializing in commercial properties, juggling 4 different agencies, and always have a nice stash of listings, not just in Dallas but also in Oklahoma City and Little Rock. My job takes me on the road quite a bit between these cities. Our kids, Leo and Zara. Leo's already got his college degree and is working out in San Francisco. Zara, well, is still hitting the books here in Dallas and planning a June wedding right after she wraps up her degree in May. I'm really hoping she'll join me in the business. After tying the knot, Zara picked up a few of her mom's traits, and those skills are worth their weight in gold. She's going to do great. Back to a year ago in Starbucks. I'm sitting in Starbucks as I usually do, trying to get in touch with Miranda every day around 4. On Fridays, I'd give her a call to see when she'd be heading home and to chat about dinner plans. We could go out, grab some takeout, or cook up something at home. Fridays were sacred to us. We'd been married for 25 years, and I could count on one hand the times we didn't go out on a Friday night. Even if work was hectic, we'd wrap things up and hit the town. We kept our work at the office, although every now and then. Then we had to go back on the weekend to tie up loose ends. But Friday night was our time to unwind. I got to Starbucks a bit early to chat with Miranda about dinner, so I decided to have a coffee first. Across the street was the hospital, and to my left was this big parking garage. That garage had a pedestrian bridge that stretched high above the road, linking it to the hospital. There were 5 exits from the garage. The garage had 2 lanes reserved for people coming out, and I noticed a big Chrysler 300 rolling out. It stopped at a light right in front of Starbucks. What caught my attention was that Miranda was in the passenger seat. That was strange because she'd always keep me in the loop about meetings outside the hospital. I was in Starbucks and needed answers, so I grabbed my phone. I called Miranda's office to get some clarity, but they told me she'd wrapped up her work for the day. I was confused, so I decided to bypass the office and dial her number directly. After 3 rings, she answered. I couldn't help but blurt out, "Miranda, where are you?" Her response was, "I'm in my office, swamped with this." I was in Starbucks with big plans to celebrate a significant sale and take Miranda to our favorite Austin restaurant. I even thought about us spending the night there, but she said she couldn't go that night, but could I get a rain check? Then I found out she was actually at Starbucks across from the hospital, not Oklahoma City as I thought. I was at Starbucks and I hadn't planned to travel anywhere. I was wondering if she knew I'd seen her. I tried to be friendly and offered to bring her coffee and a salad to keep her going with that report. She mumbled something I couldn't quite catch, then said one of her colleagues had left her a sandwich and a soft drink. Miranda added, "Pick something up on the way home for yourself and I'll be there." I couldn't resist checking my phone's location app. I saw that their car had parked at a famous address I knew all too well, the Hilton Hotel. "Are you in your office now?" I asked. "Yes," she replied. I decided to give her some space and said, "I'll see you at home. If you don't want my company, I can get the work finished quicker on my own." "Okay," she said with a resigned tone. "See you later," I replied. Miranda and I had what? We lived the high life, with a great job and a comfortable income. We drove fancy cars, all thanks to me. Our house was a big, beautiful ranch on 5 acres of pristine land. It looked like a park more than a house. When we weren't at work, we were inseparable. To anyone who saw us, it was clear that we were madly in love and totally committed to each other. Miranda made sure to dance with me exclusively at social events, even if I said it was okay for her to dance with other men, and she said she didn't want another man's hands on her. She never gave me a reason to feel jealous. I never once thought Miranda was unfaithful. I believed our sex life was fantastic. I was devoted to her, and she knew I wouldn't cheat. I sympathized with Miranda, but she seemed content. I was really happy. I couldn't have imagined that if she wasn't satisfied at home, she would seek SA action elsewhere. I sat there for several minutes, feeling really upset. It was as if my entire world had crumbled around me. A few people asked if I was okay. Eventually, I just stood up and drove home. I was sitting alone in the dark when Miranda returned home. She asked why I was sitting in the dark. I said I'd had a terrible day and I was upset. I replied, "Okay, what's your next question?" We never snapped at each other, but I felt justified in my inquiry. "You mentioned earlier that you were excited about closing a significant sale, so why are you upset now?" She replied, "Because I've recently learned some very disturbing news." I inquired, "What could be so terrible?" She responded, "If you don't know, then you've got no reason to ask." I went into the den and sat down. I skipped dinner, so the brandy hit me quickly. I stayed in the den for about 30 minutes before getting up and going to the guest bedroom to sleep. I spent the night tossing and turning, unable to shake the impact of what she had done to our marriage. Then I wondered if this might not have been the first time. How long had she been deceiving me? One thing was certain, I wouldn't tolerate being made a fool. After a restless night, I rose from a troubled sleep and took a quick shower. I stumbled into the kitchen in search of coffee. Miranda was seated at the table and spoke first. She said, "Good morning. How did you sleep in the spare bedroom?" "Terribly," I replied. "I don't think I even got an hour of sleep." "Can you tell me what's bothering you so much?" she asked. I looked at her, utterly baffled by her question, before responding. "Is there something you want to talk about? What do you mean? Are you upset because I had to work on a Friday night and we couldn't go out to dinner? When did work become more important than family? We've always dropped everything on Friday nights and enjoyed a night out. Maybe work has become more enjoyable than spending time with me. Who is he?" She gave me a confused look and clearly didn't want to answer. She grew restless and got up, starting a new pot. I tried to avoid the question by making coffee. "I saw you at the Hilton game. How could you do this to us, to me, to our family? I thought we meant more to each other than some cheap affair. I'm sorry. I never intended for this to happen. I've been fighting it for over a year. In the end, I was weak. My body responded, and I got lost. His name is David. Alexander, my boss, we tried to be discreet so you wouldn't find out. I am so deeply sorry. First of all, you're well aware of my stance on infidelity. Our marriage is over. I have never been so hurt in my life. I've been betrayed by my best friend, my lover, my soulmate, my wife. We've always shared everything. Never in my wildest dreams did I think this would ever happen. At this point, I'm not even sure if I want to continue living. If we didn't have children, I know what path I would choose." Miranda was crying hard at this point. She could see the pain I was in, but I didn't want her pity. "First and foremost, the affair has to end. You need to file a physical offense case against your lover because it seems like he took advantage of you. There's a chance you'll lose your jobs because of that, but it's the right thing to do. Finally, you should quit your job and then file a lawsuit against the hospital. You're a CPA, so finding a good job shouldn't be a problem." She paused for a moment and said, "I'm not sure if I can agree to all of that." I got up to leave the kitchen. "Where are you going?" "I'm leaving. I'll let you know where I'm staying tomorrow. I'll consult with a lawyer, and I'll try to make this as painless as possible. However, both you and your lover will not come out of this unscathed. You can mark my words on that. I won't be a fool. I'll call the kids this afternoon and let them know their mother cheated. Please leave the kids out of this. Aren't they part of this family? Yes, but I don't want them to be hurt by this. It's a little too late to worry about that. They are adults and need to know you're just worried about your reputation. With that said, I packed 2 suitcases, gathered my business items, and loaded the car. When I returned to the kitchen, Miranda was still sitting at the table crying. Miranda, do all the things I've asked. If you want to talk, I'll be willing to sit down and discuss our marriage. I'll let you know where I stayed. And with that, I was gone. I wondered if I would ever set foot in my house again. Our local Holiday Inn served a delicious breakfast, so that's where I ended up. I asked about a weekly professional rate and made reservations for 2 weeks. I texted Miranda and told her where I was. I questioned why I did it, but old habits are tough to break. The following day, which was Sunday, I spent the entire day in my room, lost in thought and wallowing in self-pity. I felt I had to talk to my kids, so I sent them a text asking if I could speak to them about some important but sad news. They replied straight away, asking me to call. I told them that their mom had been unfaithful and had been seeing someone else for the past few months. They asked how I had found out, and I told them. They were really upset but said they were there for me. I had a few questions, but I didn't have many answers. I told them I'd moved out and was staying at the Holiday Inn near our old house. We said goodbye, and Miranda called me right away. How could you make our kids turn against me? I didn't make our kids turn against you. Your actions have hurt our children, and that's what I'm hearing. I told you I was going to tell them. I won't tell your friends or your parents. That's your responsibility. Be aware that the truth has a way of surfacing eventually. I'd just finished speaking with Miranda when there was a knock at the door. It was my daughter Zara. She came in and we held each other, both crying. She understood my pain, and I was grateful to have someone to share it with. We talked for over an hour, and she wanted every detail, which fortunately I didn't have much of. Finally, Zara mentioned that she was going to see her mother. About 2 hours later, I received a text from Zara urging me to talk to Mom because there was much more to the story. I replied with an okay, but I was somewhat reluctant. I called Miranda. I know Zara has been to see you, and she asked me to call and talk. I promised her I would, so let's talk. What I'm going to say might hurt. Are you sure you want to hear it? Yes, you've told Zara, and she obviously thinks I need to hear it too, so let's hear it. So she told me the whole story of her affair, albeit reluctantly at first, but she had been an active participant since then. The narrative was painful to hear. The good thing is that she's been honest with me. The guy is more than 10 years younger than Miranda, and over 15 years younger than me. I was pretty mad and wanted to confront him about wrecking my marriage. I could see why Miranda got involved with him, but it didn't make it okay that she'd cheated on me, not just once but for months. I couldn't get past that. My lawyer is Sam, who's a personal. I called my friend at home and explained the situation. He told me to go to his office first thing the next day. Sam is a friend outside the office, but he's always professional in a business setting. I knew he charged his clients, even friends, appropriately. I told him what I planned to do regarding Miranda filing for divorce, serving her, and then waiting for the 90-day period. I wanted to take immediate legal action against her lover. I was going to sue him for a physical offense and also sue the hospital. I think there should be some moral clauses in the hospital's policies, particularly when upper-level management takes advantage of subordinates. They should bear some responsibility even if the lawsuit didn't go anywhere. I figured it would lead somewhere, even if it was just unwanted publicity. I asked Sam if there was any way to discreetly tell this guy's wife that her husband had been having an affair. Sam, being the clever lawyer that he is, called David Alexander's home and spoke to the wife, pretending to be an accountant from the Hilton. He asked about several credit card charges over the past few months. I spent the next few months explaining to David that there was a corporate rate that could save him a lot of money in the future. His wife took about 10 seconds to grasp the situation. I'm sure she would be furious with him as well. An hour later, I received a phone call from Miranda. She asked why I had already brought disgrace to David's family. She also asked if I was at work and if I had accepted any of her proposals. I said I was at work and still thinking about your proposals. That wasn't the right answer. I'd already spoken to Sam and asked him to wait on the divorce paperwork until I heard back from you. Now I know. I hope you have a great life without waiting for a response. I hung up the phone feeling hollow. My last hope for some form of redemption had disappeared. Miranda wasn't willing to consider any of the options I had suggested. So I called Sam and told him to serve Miranda and get the divorce over with as quickly as possible. I didn't want any delays. I went to the bank and divided our accounts. We'd always had a joint account where our paychecks went. We never separated our finances into his and hers. I divided everything up. I opened a new account in my name only and got new credit cards. I told my workplace and had my accounts transferred to one of the other brokers. I also took 30 days of vacation. I needed a break to clear my head, so I decided to go to Jamaica. Sam acted quickly. The next day, Miranda was served with divorce papers on grounds of adultery. David Alexander was sued as well. I wasn't sure if I had a case against Alexander or the hospital, but it was good to get it off my chest. I didn't think Miranda would contest the divorce, so I told everyone I'd be away for the next 30 days. I didn't know if I'd have access to email or a cell phone signal. I bought some beachwear. I also packed a good pair of running shoes and left abruptly. I felt like I was running away, but then I questioned what I was fleeing from. Turns out Jamaica was enjoyable. I wanted to stay active, so I ran on the beach every morning. Initially, I could only manage short distances, but within 2 weeks, I was running 3 miles. I shed excess weight and became a sun worshiper. I even kissed a beachgoer, relishing every moment. I looked into the real estate market and found that property was surprisingly affordable compared to the prices I had seen. I even envisioned retiring at the early age of 53, even after dividing our accounts. I still had a substantial amount of money with no outstanding bills. The family house would also bring in money when it was sold. After careful consideration, I put a deposit down on I found a bedroom beachfront bungalow that was conveniently close to shops, restaurants, and bars. This change allowed me to disconnect from the world, which was a welcome break for someone who was used to constant stress. I knew I had to return to Dallas to handle the legal proceedings, but I didn't have high expectations for them. I also had to check in on the lawsuits, but I needed to see what was happening. I also wanted to close some bank accounts, transfer money, and visit my kids, especially since Zara's wedding was approaching. I reached out to Zara, and she picked up on the first ring. "Dad, it's great to hear from you. Where have you been?" I told her I'd become a beach bum and that's my new thing. "I'm back for your wedding. Is everything going as planned?" Zara said yes. It's still scheduled for a week from Saturday and all is set. My mom has been a huge help since she quit her job. That caught my attention. "My mom quit," Zara explained. "Dad, she resigned that first Tuesday afternoon after you left and sued that guy in the hospital on Wednesday. If she could have found a suitable lawyer, she would have done it on Monday." I started to feel uneasy. "Why didn't she inform me?" Zara responded, "Dad, where have you been? Did you have cell phone or email access?" "She tried so many times to reach you, and we eventually gave up." I didn't really know how to reply. I began with no. There was no cell phone reception or email access where I was. In fact, I've only just turned on my cell phone for the first time. There are lots of texts and emails waiting. My mom has also been seeing a counselor twice a week for the past month. She's made a real effort to get back to her old self. I've spent most of my time with her. She's really upset and needs someone to be there for her. I've been there for her. I told her that my marriage with her mother was over. I don't think I can ever trust her again, especially since she had the perfect act with her lover. Why would she want to return to me when what I can offer is good for me but ordinary for her? Mom loves you and I don't. I don't think the physical aspect is an issue anymore. I'll talk to your mom today, but I'm not making any promises. I believe our marriage is beyond repair, but I assure you, you will be a couple for your wedding. I don't want anything to spoil my child's big day." After the phone call, I visited Sam's office to check on the progress of our legal actions. The divorce was proceeding, and the judge would finalize it within 30 days. The 2 other legal cases were more complicated. David Alexander had lost his job and had a divorce action pending against him as well. Sam said that Miranda had cases against both of them, and he thought she had a better chance than we did. I decided to drop our case against Alexander, but keep the hospital case open to see how they would respond. The initial hearing was scheduled in 2 weeks from Sam's office. I told the office manager about my retirement plans and that I wouldn't be returning. I wasn't wealthy, but living in Jamaica was affordable, and I could manage on a budget. After a while, we still had the money from selling our house. I needed to talk to Miranda because she was still living there. For the first time in several weeks, I found myself pulling up to my house. The last time I was here, I wasn't sure about returning. Miranda opened the front door before I could get out of the car. "Hello, Jack. You look fantastic. You've also lost weight." "Yes, the last 4 weeks have been good to me. My old clothes don't fit me anymore." We settled in the kitchen, and Miranda made a fresh pot of coffee. "Coffee, we have a lot to discuss, and I'm not sure where to begin. You know our divorce will be finalized in 30 days, so we need to divide the property, including the house." "What would you like to do with the house?" Miranda replied, "I haven't really thought that far. I suppose we could. I suppose we could sell it. I'm not keen to let it go, but it's been our home since we got married. Would you like to buy my share and stay here?" "No. The house is too large for just one person, and it holds too many memories, mostly good ones. I can't stay here, so I guess we should list it." "Do you know any good real estate agents?" Miranda said, "I'm sure I can find a realtor, but I can't sell our home because I've just submitted my retirement paperwork after Zara's wedding. I'm going back to Jamaica to live. I feel it's home there, with no cell phone or email connections. It's completely disconnected. I've been able to disconnect from the daily grind, and it's been great. I've been able to exercise daily, eat well, and not only get fit, but also shed all the weight I've been trying to lose for so long. What about you?" "I don't have any plans yet. I'm just taking it day by day, trying to move past how I know it's been tough on our marriage, but I'll be okay. I'll find an apartment near Zara and eventually return to work. I'm not rushing back, but someday I'll run out of my share of our money." "How can you afford to retire?" I explained that living in Jamaica is inexpensive, it's a simple life, and I don't need all that. The luxuries we have here mean I can live there without touching my savings or selling stocks. I'll be fine. This house should sell for $1 million, so we'll have that to share too. Have you seen Zara, Miranda? No, but I spoke to her on the phone for nearly an hour this morning. I told her I'd do my best to make sure we're there for her wedding. I don't want to miss out on her special day. Do you know when Leo's flying in? He's arriving next Wednesday. I was planning to meet him at DFW, but I'd be happy to do it another way if you'd... I thought it would be nice if he stayed here at the house. I'd like to come with you to the airport to welcome Leo. It's been over a year since we've seen him, so it would be good to greet him together. This house is quite large, so you could stay here if you like. It'd be great to have everyone together again, especially since we're hosting the reception here after the wedding. The big marquee will be set up on Monday, and the caterers have all the food and drinks ready. Miranda and I seem to reconnect just like before. We could talk without getting angry and communicate rationally. We worked together tirelessly to organize Zara's wedding, and having Leo there to help was a blessing. The night before her wedding, Zara stayed in the house with all of us. There was a bit of tension, but it was really special having our family together one more time. We all knew the house would be gone by next year, and there would be no more family gatherings in our old home. Zara's wedding went really well. She looked stunning, and I felt like I had lost my daughter. I knew her husband was a great match, but I secretly hoped he realized the real treasure was Zara. The place was decorated with fresh flowers, and champagne was flowing all night. We had one of the top bands from Dallas, and the dancing continued into the early hours of Sunday. Miranda and I danced with Zara for most of the night. I also played for Miranda, and I don't think we disappointed anyone. Miranda looked fantastic, and I shared many dances with her. I found my body responding to her just as it had in the past. I was a bit drunk, and I was overwhelmed and worried I'd regret this in the morning. Then Miranda said, "You know, Jack, if we share a bed tonight, we'll be sharing more than just the bed." "What's bothering you, Jack? Please do it one more time for old time's sake." "Please, Miranda. I'm sorry, but I can't do this. I know you're still. I was shocked to find out that you're still involved with someone else." I left Miranda in tears, packed my bag, and drove to the Holiday Inn. My cell phone woke me up the next morning, and it was my son. "Dad, what did you say to Mum last night?" She cried all night. "Son, I'm not sure how to tell you this, but I'm not happy right now. I know you're flying back today, and I'll come over in 2 hours to drive you to the airport. I don't want your mother to come along and I don't want to see her. I stayed for an additional 3 days before. Sam had received a settlement offer from the hospital. They offered $500,000, but we settled out of court for $750,000. After taxes and fees, I was left with $500,000, which would go a long way. I said my goodbyes to everyone except Miranda and boarded my plane for the next chapter in my life. Update: life was great. I spruced up my little beach bungalow and bought a used Jeep. I kept up with my beach runs and sunbathing. Now and then, I'd receive mail or a postcard from one of the kids. One day, I received a letter from Sam, gave me the lowdown on all the latest. My divorce went through without a hitch, so now I'm a free man. Miranda won both her cases against the hospital, which had to pay her $5 million and charge Alexander $1 million, which he couldn't afford and led to his bankruptcy. Good for Miranda, she's set for life financially and won't have to worry about money. Sam also said the house was sold and most of the furniture was put in storage. I didn't ask where or how Miranda was living, not that I really cared. She'd hurt me once, and I wasn't going through that again. I heard from Zara about once a month. She always teasingly called me a fool and told me not to worry about Mum. I couldn't help but worry that Zara had given up on me. Leo wasn't the best at staying in touch, but I wasn't concerned because he had a busy social life. Several wonderful months passed, and I gradually began feeling like a human again. I started desiring the company of a lovely woman. She lived just a few miles away in the main commercial areas of the island, where many resorts made the island famous. There were all kinds of women at these resorts for different reasons. The resorts hosted dances 3 or 4 times a week, and it was pretty easy to find a nice-looking woman to chat with. This usually involved lots of dancing and wine. That's how I met Dolly. She was petite, around 5 feet 2 inches, with brown hair and striking deep blue eyes. Dolly worked as an investment broker and needed a break from the stock market stress and the daily grind of making money for people. We danced the night away and enjoyed plenty of wine. The music was still playing when she suggested. We went outside for some fresh air. We strolled down to the beach, and she suddenly kissed me. We chatted, and I found out she was staying at the resort for a month. I suggested showing her around the island, and we ended up back at my bungalow. She was very open about her desires, and mentioned that she had a lot of partners in her life. Dolly, despite being 38, had never been married or had kids and hadn't found the right person yet. She wasn't sure about having kids, but she definitely wanted to meet the right partner and settle down eventually. Dolly spent the whole month with me in my bungalow, only coming back to the resort to get more clothes. I've never connected with anyone the way I did with Dolly. We never said I love you, but there was an unspoken understanding that conveyed that message without us having to say the words. She was 30. The day was coming to an end, and neither of us wanted to ruin the mood by discussing what would happen when she left. The night before, she was set to depart. We moved her back to a room at the resort. There was a dance that night, as was customary before a large group left. Of course we attended, given our shared love for dancing. I was dancing with Dolly when I saw her across the room. She was in a booth with someone else. Dolly immediately sensed something was wrong and asked me about it. I told her I had seen my ex across the room engaging in inappropriate behavior with her boyfriend, whom I thought had disappeared long ago. Dolly, I had to say something to them, so we went over to their booth. Miranda, it seems my suspicions were right, and you never stopped seeing this guy. I said, Miranda, you pushed David away and started straightening your dress. What are you doing here? She asked, I live here. What have you forgotten? You told me your affair was over and that you never. I wanted to see this guy again. What's going on? Were those all lies? David got out of the booth and tried to confront me. You're divorced now, so who sees what she does is none of your concern. I'll admit that we never stopped sleeping together. Yes, I suspected as much. I don't appreciate being lied to and deceived by my ex-wife. My wife has been doing that. We were once in love and would never have lied to each other. I blame you for changing the woman I loved. Your actions broke up both our marriages. The word jerk doesn't begin to describe the unhappiness you've caused. He held me up with one hand and he kept on threatening me. I ended up on the floor. The bouncers came over and Dolly told them what happened. There were a few people who saw it happen. An ambulance came and took me to the hospital. I was unconscious the next morning. When I came to, the police were interviewing me. They asked if I wanted to press charges. and I said yes. Dolly was there, holding my hand, and she'd been with me all night. The past 30 days have been the best of my life. I've never had so much fun. I had a great time and felt really comfortable with you. I have to admit I've fallen in love with you. Please stay with me. Don't go back to work in your old life. I'm not wealthy, but we'd have enough for a comfortable life without ever having to work again. I love you, but I need some time to think. I was ready to give everything up. Part of me immediately said yes, but there were some loose ends I needed to tie up before making that commitment. Can you understand? Take as much time as you need. You know where I live. Dolly kissed me and left, as she had a plane to catch. It felt like the second love of my life had just walked away from me. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. I heard that Alexander was out on bail but might be facing jail time. I packed a small suitcase and returned to Dallas to see my lawyer. Sam was happy to see me, but shocked to see the state I was in. What brings you back to civilization? I need legal advice. Do you remember that I received a small settlement from the hospital? Yes, it was for $750,000. Why? Well, I was wondering if, since Miranda and I were still technically married, she's entitled to half of that under the community property law. Technically she is, but her settlement was for $5 million. Why would she want yours? I don't know if she's interested in my settlement, but I want half of her payment. I was fine with her having it because I thought she'd ended her affair with her ex. I recently found out that she hadn't stopped seeing him even after we separated and before the divorce. In fact, she's still seeing him. I told Sam where she was, and that same afternoon he flew to Jamaica and gave the legal documents to Miranda. He later said that she'd already spent a lot of her settlement money, but she wrote the check anyway. I stayed with Zara and her husband and told them what I'd found out. Zara said she'd had suspicions, but her mom had denied any involvement with David. I asked if she was sure her mom was going to the counselor and not to see her lover. Zara wasn't sure. Sam came back. The next day, Miranda reluctantly agreed to split the money minus her share of my settlement. I headed back to Jamaica, and upon arriving in my bungalow, I found Dolly sitting on my patio. She said, "If you can stand having me around, I'm here to stay." Dolly, if you'd have me, would you do me the honor of marrying me without any hesitation? I said yes. I'm going to give you an update on what happened next. Dolly and I tied the knot with some of her friends in attendance. Life was great. Miranda had spent a good portion of her settlement money and had to return to work. She couldn't establish a lasting relationship. As for David Alexander, he spent a year behind bars and faced a grim future upon his release. He was a felon, bankrupt and divorced.